virtual performance, The Logical Frontier. These are the pandemic sessions of our star band, the Roddenberries. Our ongoing mission: to explore sensible new parodies, to seek out new allies and unite the nerdospheres, to boldly go where no star band has gone before.
Bold skirt, check off spot.
On the rim of the starlight, my love is wandering in starflight. I know he'll find in star-clustered regions love, sweet love, a star woman breaches. I know his journey ends never. His Star Trek will go on forever. But tell him while he's wandering his starry seas, remember me.
Bold skirt, check off spot.
Oh, now that was, I think in the history of the Roddenberries, that was probably the biggest pain in the blank there was.
In the tribble?
Yes, pain in the tribble there was. To record. We've recorded a lot of songs and done a lot of things, but that pandemic video was by far the most complicated. And imagine everybody just taking their cell phones and recording themselves and then having to mix that. It was... It's good to see the result of it, but it also gives me nightmares reliving it.
Yeah, it was quite something.
Yes, greetings, everyone, and welcome to our first ever inaugural podcast or panel. It's the first time we're ever hosting a panel, and this is the soundtrack of the Nerdosphere. It's and please, again, like I said, it's our first one, so bear with us. Thank you for joining us. As usual with panels, feel free to comment. We'll be answering questions as they come. We have a couple of surprise visitors, and if you like that video in the beginning towards the end, there'll be some more videos as well. But yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you for joining us. I am Sister Spock.
And I'm
This is my co-captain, Spocknik. We just wanted to say thank you so much to Ryan Husk and the Seventh Rule specifically. It's a wonderful podcast. If you guys haven't heard it, you should check it out. But I'm thinking if you're here at Virtual TrekCon, you've probably heard the Seventh Rule. It's awesome. They are awesome. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of this and welcoming us a little further into the Star Trek family. We love everyone out there. And thank you, everybody at home, for joining us. As my co-captain Spocknik said, this is the first time that we're doing anything like this, so please bear with us. We're going to have some special guests popping in. We're going to ask some questions. We're going to do some trivia later. We're going to do some giveaways. Maybe a couple of little surprises in there. We're going to try and make this interesting for everyone that's watching. And again, thank you for joining. First of all, I would like to say a warm thank you and welcome to our chief engineer right now, Commander, who is behind the scenes putting all of this together. He has done an incredible amount of work in a very short time. Whoa, there's Commander.
There he is, getting it done. Getting it done.
He's a very, very talented videographer. So yeah, stay tuned. We got a lot in store.
And it's not going to be your typical panel. We're not necessarily performing. We'll be demonstrating some things on occasion and showing some things, but this isn't a live performance. It's very difficult to do that in a live panel setting. Like I said, we have some videos towards the end, but we're not. We're going to do some fun stuff, but we're not going to Brady Bunch you. It's not going to be 9-10 squares of heads. Anyway, it will be. Go ahead.
No, sorry. For anybody who caught that DS9 panel that was right before us, I mean, that was pretty spectacular, I think. Wow, just wow. Again, thank you so much for Ryan and the Seventh World people, and for everyone who's helped to put this on, the virtual TrekCon. Because, if you're like us, it's like, conventions, what's happening, everybody should be finalizing their costumes and their cosplay and all their stuff to go to Vegas right now. But of course, the world has gone crazy. So this is a whole new realm, and we're all exploring it together as nerds of the stratosphere.
It's a different time.
So, yeah, it's a very different time. So, thanks for your patience. If things go awry, we're just going to roll with it. Because that's what Spock would do. WWSD, that's what you have to ask. What would this guy do?
Yes. That's
By the way,
we have two awesome engineers working on this behind the
scenes. We really do. So who are we and why did we get a panel? Well, the panel question you're going to have to ask Ryan Husk. We're not sure why he gave us a panel, but we're loving it. The Roddenberries, for those of you who don't know who we are essentially like, best way I can describe what we do is we're like a multimedia, Star Trek-ified sci-fi rock cabaret. If you haven't seen one of our shows, that's kind of the best way to explain what it is, what we do. There's a lot of costume changes. We kind of move into the different realms of the nerdosphere. We love Star Trek, and it's very Star Trek heavy, our performances. We do characters. We do original music from the Star Trek series and from the movies and soundtracks and that sort of thing. And we also do a lot of parodies of popular music, everything from rock and roll to, Antonio Carlos Jobim, Frank Sinatra, and everything in between. We like to mix it up. We like to try and keep it interesting. We really wanted to see a show that, we wanted to put on a show that we wanted to see. And we love so many things, it's okay to love Star Wars as well. Don't get mad. But I'm sure, I know, it's crazy. It's, there are so many fights among the fans, I think, sometimes about which one is better, Star Trek, Star Wars. I personally am a huge Star Trek fan. I also love Star Wars. It's okay, there's no conflict. But as far as, who we are, we're a bunch of friends that have gotten together and, we're made up of professional musicians, burlesque and cabaret performers, videographers, comedians, dancers, teachers. We have a couple of music educators actually in our group. Yeah. There's one of them on screen right now. And actually, I'm being told by Commander that we have an incoming transmission from one of our band members.
Oh, really?
Yes, I believe we do. Take it away, Commander. Incoming transmission from one of our band members.
Hailing frequencies open.
One of our band members who is actually a musical teacher, and he teaches choir. He is a very, very gifted musician. I can say that because I'm not him. Hey. And there's one of those technical difficulties that we were saying that we might have. First time panel.
And we only get to use this excuse one time this time.
What are we going to do for all the other times?
Yeah, right?
To pretend. Yeah, they never really show technical difficulties that much.
Hey guys, this is Captain Disco, guitar player for the Roddenberries, coming at you live. Hope you guys are having a great time today, and I just wanted to just say welcome, 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 and I just hope you guys are having a wonderful time. People always ask me, so why do you play guitar for the Roddenberries? Because I love having fun, joy, and laughter, and spreading all that laughter throughout the universe. So you know what? Hopefully you guys will come to see us soon. And people also ask me, so what else do you do? I teach and play in a bunch of different bands, but my band's called Funky Man, Phunkyman. You can see me on Spotify or on iTunes or all those kind of other places. I'm everywhere. But yeah, let me tell you what, when you get a chance to come out and see the Roddenberries live, don't miss it. It's something you have to experience for yourself. See you soon.
It sure is something you have to experience.
It's true. People never know what they're gonna. I've had so many stories from people that have said, they've seen us early on and they were like, "Wait, what did I just see?" And so they brought like 5 of their friends, and they really didn't know how to describe the show until they're just like, "Just come." And you know what? Wow, that's something you might see at one of our shows.
Exactly.
It looks like we have a couple of special guests joining us. Hey, it's Ultraman and Godzilla. You guys are playing chess. See, we can get along. These guys are mortal enemies, and they're playing a game of chess right now. This is exactly what I was talking about. The nerdosphere, we're all one. We're unified.
This is an example of what happens at any random moment in one of our shows.
Or in our personal lives, actually, if we want to get quite frank. That's basically like, this is us on a Saturday.
It is. But the funny thing is, it really is.
Yeah. We're not lying.
We're not kidding.
Seriously not lying.
Oh my God.
Don't kill him with fire. We need him. Don't kill him with fire, Godzilla. So I don't know. I think I kind of tried to describe what we are a little bit. Spocknik, did I forget anything? Did I leave anything out?
Oh, I think just recapping, what we do and who we are. Like Sister Spock said, we all come at things from a different place in terms of our musical backgrounds. Captain Disco there comes. He has a funk background, as well as other musical genres, but. In my case, I have a Middle Eastern background. I'm Lebanese descent, so it's interesting that I could come into a Star Trek band from playing Lebanese music, Middle Eastern music, and also I grew up in America, so I'm obviously love rock and roll and everything, but we all come at it from a different perspective, and we add our various talents and Sister Spock also mentioned that we have filmmakers in the band. So one of the things is not only being able to present on stage, but it's able to do all of the visualizations and the video content that we have. So
the media.
Media. So I mean, everybody brings a gift, and we're very fortunate to have that. But also, talking about some additional things, we have 2 albums under our belt. The first one was, 5-6 years ago at this point. It was a lot of original series focus and really fun. Our second album, which was released last year, Eat the Roddenberries. Yeah, and that had a heavier TNG presence. We were fortunate to work with Grammy Award winner Joe Nicolo, who produced our album, and he's got so many amazing projects under his belt, like the Fugees.
Shout out to my Cypress Hill people.
Cypress Hill, Fugees,
hey.
Hall & Oates. So we were fortunate to be able to work with him, and thank you again for those that have supported our Kickstarter. We have 2 albums, and we performed at Star Trek Las Vegas the 50th anniversary on behalf of Roddenberry Entertainment. So Rod and Trevor and the people at Roddenberry Entertainment asked us to be the band on the Roddenberry stage that year. It was the first time we went to Vegas. First time we were at STLV, and from there it's been every year since then. We've been back there, whether we were playing or not. And but yeah, we were fortunate to perform for 3 nights, and we also roved playing music around the halls, which was really fun. And this year, we were actually asked by Creation to be the house band for STLV 2020, and we all know.
Yes, we were, Spocknik.
Yes, and it was an honor to be asked. And it's an honor to be asked, and absolutely we will do it if it still goes forward. And we all know the current climate and state of things, so who knows what's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, that's okay too. But we were just very honored to be asked to be the house band. So yeah, and we've also had the fortune of doing some pretty big shows with J.G. Hertzler was a guest of ours at our last show in Philadelphia, and have some amazing things planned in the future coming up. So yeah.
Yes, we do. And I think we have something to announce right now from a secret special guest that's going to be popping in. A secret special guest that's going to be popping in, perhaps.
Did someone mention Vegas?
Garish!
I am Garish, not to be confused.
It's
with
Garrick's second cousin. What are you doing here?
third cousin, once removed.
Well,
I heard you talking about Vegas, and you know I love the rhinestones. Love them! But I also think it's time for a question from a special guest of the Roddenberries. He's beaming in all the way in from upstate New York City, and he's been a bit of a character in his time. Maybe he played a Herodian. Maybe he was on Enterprise. Anyway, they say his name is JG, and he's going to beam in with a question. Are we ready? Come in, Drew! We're ready. Anyway, I'm making a souffle in the kitchen.
thank you, Garish.
My pleasure.
Wonder what that's going to taste like.
Okay, Bill, Beth, here's my question. You know, I have always wanted a Hammond organ. And if you'll promise to get me a Hammond organ, I'll record this for you. So in anticipation of you being able to supply me with the B3 for my very own use, and hopefully playing with the Roddenberries, I have a question. What's the possibility of the Rods writing a rock and roll version of the Klingon Warriors anthem? And Bob and I, well, maybe in the style of Chuck Berry, or maybe in the style of Bill Tayoun. But I would like to do a rock and roll version of the Klingon Warriors anthem. Can you make that happen, Bill? And I'll be looking from now until doomsday for that B3 to end up on my front porch. Thank you, Bill. Right on, Roddenberries.
Right
The
on,
legendary Chancellor Martok, J.G. Hertzler. You know what? I knew all that stuff that he's done for us was going to come back, man. We got to get him an organ now.
Yeah,
we have to supply him with an organ. How are we going to do that?
That's the difficult one of the ask. The easy one is to write the rock version of the Klingon anthem, which I'm so down to do.
Yeah, me too. Hey, listen, if it's a Chuck Berry version or Chuck Berry-like kind of style, then JG, if you're watching right now, we're going to need you to go ahead and play keys on that.
Yes.
Again.
And I'll supply. Obviously, I'll supply the.
He'll supply the Hammond organ and/or regular keys, and you can play it. And if it's in the style of Billy Tayoun, then it would probably, aka Spocknik, then it is probably going to have some sort of like crazy like 9/8 rhythm or something to that effect.
It was something will make a left turn somewhere, I'm sure.
I actually love that idea.
Yeah.
I love that idea. And I think what he's getting at actually is, can I just say this now? Well, some of you who are watching probably know that we have a show scheduled. It was scheduled for June at World Cafe Live. We moved it to October because of obvious reasons. And our very, very special guests are J.G. Hertzler and Robert O'Reilly. And we also have John Paladin, who will be coming in to do their makeup. So we have yet to see if that will happen. However, this may be a foreshadowing of perhaps some of the music you will be experiencing at that show.
Yep.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
So thank you, JG, for the question. We love you. We love you so much. He's really an awesome human being, you guys. If you haven't met him personally, he is so much fun. He and his partner Chevy are just amazing, wonderful human beings. They're so gifted and they're so grounded and down to earth and just they're giving. They're very giving people. Like they would give you literally the shirts off their back. Chevy, I think we did that in Vegas actually.
He certainly would. Yeah, he certainly would. No, you're right.
I think my parents are watching. I'm in trouble now.
He's definitely somebody that's very personable. You can go right up to, and you know he talks to everybody, which is a great thing. You know.
Yeah, he's an amazing person.
Yeah.
So thank you, Gigi, for that question. So now, as for the panel, when we were asked if we wanted to do a panel, we didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare, so we were just thinking, what can we talk about that's going to be relevant to us as a band, but also relevant to the Star Trek community, our Star Trek family, which is all of you wonderful people. And so we decided that we should probably talk about some of the really iconic music that has come from not only Star Trek, but the realm of the nerdosphere, sci-fi, fantasy, comics, gaming, that sort of thing. We'll touch a little bit on that, the composers, the music that has touched us personally.
Yep.
And there's so many. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll take some also, while we're talking about this, we'll also take some questions if there are any questions that we can answer from the audience about, what we do and about the music and give you our thoughts on it as well.
Yes. So anything that you want to comment on or any questions you have, just pop them into that live feed, baby. We got Commander on deck. He's doing 100 things literally right now, making sure for this podcast. So that's number probably 14 on his list that he's doing.
Yep.
Oh, we love you so much, Commander. I know. We're going to, we have a lovely spider goulash for you later. So, Spocknik, let me ask you this.
Sister Spock, yes.
What was your introduction to Star Trek and the music? Like, how were you impacted by the music of Star Trek as a musician, as a human being?
Well, my intro to first of all, my intro to Trek was through my family. I'm number 6 of 7 children, and I guess I first watched Star Trek, I think, if I remembering, probably 1979, 80. And it was watching reruns of the original series. And it was because my brothers and sisters always had it on or watched it, or it became a thing in our household. And I just, it's just something that is just always there, and you just start to watch it, and it becomes part of who you are. And, just over time, the music being just so nostalgic and it's just something that was just always there. Just a foundational element in my life is Star Trek, essentially. I think I would ask the same to you. What was the same question to you? How did it impact you?
Well, really, it's my dad is initially to blame for my love of Star Trek because he was a huge sci-fi nerd. He loved all of those old school sci-fi movies, and that's really how I got my first taste of that. And quite literally, some of my first memories of being a human on this earth when I was 3 or 4 years old were watching Star Trek with my pop. There were 4 of us in our family, and we weren't old enough yet to start learning instruments, but we all in turn, became musical and that sort of thing. But I just remember that was one of the highlights of my life was just we had this little, black and white box TV, and he'd be in the rocking chair, and we just all lie around his feet like dogs and just watch Star Trek and hang on every single moment of it. And the music was just, it spoke to me even at a really young age. I think I was 3 or 4 when I first saw that. So that would have been, I don't want to date myself. I did see it in syndication, but I saw it a little earlier than Spocknik did. I was very, very young. And thank you, Pop, if you're watching. I love you so much for introducing me to Star Trek. I know I took it further than you ever thought would happen in this family, but
Yeah,
you're
you
welcome.
sure did.
You're welcome, Pop. There's my Pop, and there's my nephew, who is also a Star Trek fan. Scotty Jr. is his official Roddenberry name. So yeah, Star Trek it's really just spoke to me from a very young age. And as I got a little bit older and I started getting more into music, my mom always played the piano, and I started learning the piano at a very young age. And then I started learning flute, and I always loved to sing. And I have to say, the music of Star Trek, the theme specifically, the TOS theme, which is, obviously you guys, if you were watching, just saw that video. That was our first pandemic video. It had such meaning for me. And it has realistically been one of my most favorite songs since I was 4 years old. I've been at least trying to singing that song my whole life. My family can attest to that. My brother especially. Every time I'm with my younger brother and we find anything that has any kind of acoustics, whether it's a parking garage or a stairwell or whatever, I'll just randomly bust out in the theme from Star Trek. And it's also my, it's my favorite warm-up song. Really good to clean out the pipes, actually.
Sure is.
But it's nostalgic. I think for me and you both, Spocknik, it's very nostalgic for us, the music of Star Trek. And it's very visceral. It gives me a very physical response. I feel it very deeply throughout my whole body when I listen to the music of Star Trek.
I do too. I mean, it's a kind of like a comfort food for me when I work from home during the day. That the TOS, and again, we love all the music from Trek, but
Yes,
in
we
TOS,
do.
it's very soothing, especially while I'm working, and if I'm doing something that I don't have to be on conference calls or talking to anyone, that's on in the background, and it puts me at ease. I don't know, maybe it just goes back to my childhood, I guess, but that's essentially. I'm listening to it really yesterday while I was working. I was listening to it in the background.
Oh my gosh, me too. You didn't happen to be listening to anything from this, did you?
That is now on Spotify, believe it or not, and I have the whole
Oh.
thing on a playlist. Yes, and that's what I listen to. That.
Okay, so this is the complete original series music. And when I say complete, I mean it's everything that you've ever heard and a lot of stuff you never heard from the original series. It's kind of amazing, the Star Trek collection. This from my younger brother. I actually cried when I opened this and immediately burned copies for Spocknik. He's my Star Trek music buddy.
One thing I just thought of now is that when you were saying you were first watching it on like a black and white TV.
Yeah, and we had to wait.
Right, but
we had to wait a week. There was no DVRing, there was no taping it or on demand or binging, none of that stuff, man. We had to wait, and it was the syndication at that point.
There's something to be said for watching it on a black and white TV in mono, the way the old black and white TVs were, and it's one of the reasons why even today, like I only really enjoy listening to baseball games on an AM radio. It's a weird thing. It's anyway. I just had to say that it was something quirky, but yeah. So
no, and then remember when we got to see it in color for the first time? Wow, those '60s colors, man! Oh, the primary is just so bright and amazing and brilliant. I love everything about Star Trek. I'm not gonna lie, I'm such a Star Trek nerd.
so Sister Spock, I saw a question that asked like, what was our first song? What was the first song that we I guess started with? And I would say it probably is the TOS theme. Yeah.
As a band, when we decided to form into the band, that was where we started.
Yeah.
We did. Yeah, we all came into it from our own. We're 10-piece band, 10 members proper. 10 on stage at any given moment. But we have, we work with up to 5 or 6 dancers. Right. We have videographers. We have our chief engineer and, Miles O'Hiron and Fallon. She does everything for us. I don't know. We're a big unit. We're a big crew. But we definitely started with TOS because when we were forming the band, we weren't really sure what that meant. Let's do a Star Trek band. We just wanted to play the music of Star Trek. So we started with stuff we knew. We started with the TOS theme, and then we went into some of the music from one of my personal favorite episodes with the Space Hippies. And we did a few songs from that, The Way to Eden. I know that's controversial. A lot of people aren't really into that episode. I love it. It reaches with me. It speaks to me about so much of what I love about Star Trek, the campiness, and it was visually just a feast.
Let's have a session. It'll sound.
It would sound.
It's
gonna sound. It always sounds. It's just great, And then I think we got into. I think the Red Shirt Blues, that was one of our first parodies, and the Salt Sucker, we took, I guess we just started doing parodies. We were like, all right, let's branch out a little bit, and it just became fun. It was always fun, of us figuring out what we were going to do.
That is half the fun. It's obviously being on stage and presenting it, but figuring out new stuff is always an amazing time, especially with because we're all friends, and somebody will come up with an idea, and then people will get excited, and how about this, and then something you might not have thought about, and that's how a lot of our songs evolve. I mean, there are some very deliberate, we need to do something like this for this reason, but a lot of times in the creative process, when we're all together, you start in one place and you end up in a completely different place, and it's just amazing. And that's where some of our best numbers have ended up. Yeah, and that's
and most fun.
And the picture you're seeing right now, that's what a rehearsal feels like. I just
all of us. Kirk's fighting the Gorn.
Yeah,
we're just hanging out on the rock, being goofy.
Yes, yeah.
Actually, what we're just talking about right now, I think we had a question from a friend that was similar, that was asking us something about this. Commander, I believe we had a question from an audience member. Someone sent us this question in, and this would be Elio from Priority One, Roddenberry podcast, which is also awesome. If you guys haven't heard Roddenberry podcast, check that out. Roddenberry Entertainment does a handful of really cool podcasts that you should also check out. And we're all in the Star Trek family together. Hey, Elijah.
Hi, Roddenberries. Elio here from Priority One podcast. And here's my question. Tell us a little bit about the creative process. How do you go from choosing a song to deciding on what the lyrics and themes are going to be for the parody to ultimately performing it? Thanks.
That's fun.
Yeah.
You know what? He sounds like a podcaster, doesn't he?
He
sounds like he is built for radio. We love you, Elijah. You're awesome.
He's really awesome.
It's funny because a friend of mine, Brad Siegel, was asking me that very, very similar question about the creative process and how do we build out a song? What comes first? How do we put everything together? Gosh. We come at it from different angles. Sometimes I think Billy Spocknik, you had an idea the other day or a thought for one of the songs, how we were just kind of hanging out at my kitchen table.
Oh, right. So
there were a couple of beers involved, probably.
Right. So before I say that funny story, there are some songs that we decide as a group, like we need to represent maybe Voyager or DS9 or something. We need to do something very specific for a particular character for a particular event, and so we'll come up with very specific things because we're trying to address a specific need in our show. However, a lot of our songs, even some of the songs that came up on the album, are just we're together one night in a Rodden meeting at Sister Spock's house, and a few drinks, and we're typing, we're working on rehearsals, and then all of a sudden I'm thinking in my head, for whatever reason, my Sharona was in my head. And then I went, Tanagra. Right? I mean, that's essentially, and then once we both looked at each other,
It begins.
Yeah, and then Sister Spock, because she writes the lyrics, amazing lyrics for the vast majority of our songs, and it was just like she just took it and ran with it, and that's like one of my most favorite songs on our last album. So I mean,
Specifically, I have to say, it is. It really is, but it's so goofy, and I have to say, I've never ever liked that song, My Sharona, but I love our version. It's so fun to do live, and it's just so fun with the band because we kind of made it our own. Back to what Spocknik was saying about, sometimes we gather material specifically because it's a certain genre that we're looking to represent, be it a milestone or an event that we're doing. We've done Star Wars heavy events. We've actually been booked for specifically Star Wars events, and we're like, we need a little bit more Star Wars material.
Yeah.
So, we come up with more Star Wars material. Specifically, our second album, Eat the Roddenberries, it was right around the time of the 30th for TNG, the anniversary for The Next Generation. And I was thinking about it at the time. This was 4 years ago. Wow, my dates are all messed up right now.
It was before the 30th, right?
Yeah, it was for the 30th, and we were all in Vegas. But I was thinking, we have a lot of TOS material. I think we need some more TNG material. And then from there, for me, the process, a lot of it was, I really wanted to do, say, a song about Riker. And I was like, all right, what's up with Riker, his character? He's kind of like the TNG's version of the Kirk figure. He's the Starfleet Casanova, totally kicking it with the ladies all the time. I think like way more than Kirk had on-screen time with ladies was Riker. And, Riker went a little further, boldly went where Kirk never went, and had a relationship with an androgynous character, which was awesome. I loved that. It was time. So these are two of our fantastic dancers, Sophie Sucre and Fallon. And that's me. I wanted to drag it up a little bit, change it up, a little gender bending. I enjoy that. But I figured, Riker's a little, can I say, a little slutty? Nah, he's very, very comfortable with his sexuality. That's more what I should be saying. Excuse me for that comment I said earlier. That person's gone now. So I'm thinking, let's do a Prince song. And then from there, it just kind of flowed. For me, the process of lyric writing is I was an English major. I studied creative writing. That's what my degree is in. And I love that challenge. And I also love researching stuff. So really what I was doing was I basically rewatched all of TNG, and it was research for me. And I literally took notes, and I grabbed little nuances and little things that I thought would be really relevant to telling the story of Riker, looking at it from he's this Casanova. He's like this starship Casanova. He's amazing. And it just came from there. I think about an idea, and then I'm informed from the actual lore. And I think to myself, when I hear music, especially parodies, I love when I hear something that's like really well thought out, and I feel like it's clever, and somebody really cared about the source material. And I don't like when my intelligence is insulted as a listener or as a fan. And I think there's so many intelligent things to discuss when it comes to the whole world of Star Trek, which is huge. And so for me, I also make it my point not to insult the fans. I want to, give the people listening something that they can be like, oh yeah, that's great. Honestly, I look back to some of the lyrics that I've done, and it helps to remind me things that I forget, of like the Star Trek timeline or other little things that have happened in Star Trek. I'm like, oh, right. What's that lyric again?
What you're saying about really thinking it out and not just taking the easy way out. I mean, I think it was at one time a few years ago, I remembered us having a discussion, maybe at a rehearsal, somebody had an idea, I don't know, but it's just like, we can't just stop anything that rhymes with Spock or rhymes with warp or whatever. That's not the point of this. It's too easy to do things like that.
Right, like Born to Be Wild.
Yes, I mean, don't get me wrong.
It's funny.
We have some of those. We have a song called Spock's Hand. That is Roxanne, essentially, from The Police. So we have a few of those, but in general, we try to stay away from that. So I agree. We try to spend a lot more time really thinking what we do to make even the most ardent Trek fans, because they've probably heard all of the kind of innuendos and jokes and parodies, to make them laugh, and to get, even if they don't laugh, just to get a raised eyebrow. That's a reward for us.
Yeah, and sometimes we specifically do songs. I'll go off and I'll do songs. I'll talk about it with Spocknik, and we'll decide on a tune that we're going to parody, and I'll just lock myself away and I'll research and do lyrics and stuff. But we also come up as a group musically with a lot of the arrangements together. Everyone is involved. Ideas are welcome. People pull out ideas all the time. There are a couple of other members that have, come up with parodies, and they do their own lyrics and their own song parodies that then the group, follows, and we kind of branch out who's going to be what character, how does this work. So I believe someone asked how we, let me look at this question. Our friend Brad, something about how do we decide which character each of us is going to play, who leads and who fills in. I think we figure out what's relevant. Yeah, thank you for that note. We think about what's relevant for the song, either if it's a parody that one of us is singing as the lead singer as a character. If not, sometimes we'll just do a song and we'll have one of our other ensemble members, possibly one of the dancers or one of our other ensemble members, come out, and they become that character, and then the focus is on them, and the band is doing the music. So it's a little different, but it's a fun process. I think at this point we should probably get into a little bit more of the meat.
Yes.
I think let's talk about some of the music of Star Trek and some of the iconic composers that have inspired us. Because, as we've been talking about for quite some time, there's a lot of music to inspire.
There absolutely is. Obviously, there's been some iconic scores from TOS to TNG and all the movies. Some of my favorites. As a matter of fact, playing I remember vividly playing the Spock music, the theme of Spock. I guess it's in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Every time you see some sort of, he's sitting in his room meditating, or the death scene and things like that. That sound, it was one of the first things I used to just love that melody that was playing, and so, and that was James Horner. But yes, if we start from the early days in TOS,
take it from the beginning, baby. Alexander Courage,
which
that TOS theme,
the
right?
TOS theme,
first thing we heard.
And one other thing, real quick, the Roddenberries are based out of Philadelphia, and what we found as an amazing fun fact is that Alexander Courage is from Philadelphia.
Guess where he was born? Philly.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we just found that out. I mean, we didn't always know that.
We own that. In 1919, he was born in Philadelphia. There is the man.
Yep.
Just a couple of fun facts I would like to share. I did a little homework. He became Jerry Goldsmith's primary orchestrator in the 1990s. So,
Pretty cool.
Yeah, Alexander Courage and Jerry Goldsmith, one of the other iconic composers for Star Trek. And he did a lot of the movies, actually. He did some of the main themes, but he did a lot of the movies. He also worked with John Williams on some projects. And the person who recommended Alexander Courage to work in the music of Star Trek was actually Jerry Goldsmith. So those two have an awesome history together and through the world of Star Trek.
Right.
But the first thing that we saw that was aired, we know they did the Cage and Where No Man Has Gone Before, the pilots, but the first thing that was actually aired was The Man Trap. And Alexander Courage, we hear his the original theme, which was shot with, I'm sorry, not shot. It was recorded in various ways, electric violin, people think there was a theremin going on. There wasn't a theremin. It was just the way that they orchestrated the music together. A soprano had recorded with that. Always one of my favorite songs. And is that Salty? Oh, all right. Here you go, Salty. Where are you?
Himalayan.
There you go. No. I know I'm sweaty. Go have your Himalayan sea salt. It's much better for you. Yes, as appearing live from the Man Trap, that was the Salt Sucker. So yeah, Alexander Courage did that music as well. First thing that we experienced, that was the first time we were just viscerally stimulated by all of the really cool, ethereal background music of Star Trek in all of its glory. And that was our introduction, really. I was just blown away. So right from the very beginning, that was Alexander Courage.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Alexander Courage, gave us all that awesome stuff. Actually, I have one fun fact that I want to share. People don't know this. So in the opening of the, Space, the Final Frontier, with the beautiful TOS theme and the whoosh, they show the Enterprise swooshing by. That was actually Alexander Courage going into the microphone.
But the cool thing too, it's in that CD set.
It's in this.
It's actually on Spotify. You can get it on Spotify.
That's amazing.
Yes.
You gotta love technology because we didn't have any of this stuff way back in the day. We had to listen to Star Trek. When I was in college, this is wow. I was working as the stockroom manager at the Pottery Barn in Princeton. I went to school in New Brunswick, and I'd take the bus there every day, and it was boring. So I had a cassette player, and I would record episodes of Star Trek onto cassettes, and that's what I would listen to while I was, opening boxes and organizing and moving tables around and all that fun stuff. So that was very different now. I'm very glad to have stuff like this, which is almost obsolete now because everybody's on Spotify, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. And you know what? I do want to acknowledge Rose Kirby, a good friend of ours from the UK, listening from the UK, and she asked, does the Star Trek intro, does it take us out of this world? Or some other place, or some other place, it's Sister Spock. What do you say to that?
Every time for me, it really does.
Yeah, me too. I mean, playing. I will tell you, playing it with the band, and when 10 people on that stage are playing that song at the same time, that is an amazing feeling, and and we strive to pay attention to the details from the original, and then we obviously rock it up a bit. But anyway, yeah, that's it, Rose. It does take us out of this world, absolutely. And sometimes we don't know where it takes us.
Yeah, we're gonna find out.
Let me answer one question from Aaron regarding Max Grodenchik. Have we reached out to him? No, we haven't reached out to him. That's an awesome idea. We've Robert Picardo has sung with us at the 50th. We've spoken to him subsequently. J.G. Hertzler. We definitely want to engage with more of the amazing musical Trek actors. So yes, Aaron, I'm going to actually follow up on that, and I appreciate you suggesting that. It is something that I wanted to do at the last STLV. But as things happen, there's you just run out of time and schedules change. But thank you for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we should hit him up.
Yeah. Well, why wouldn't we? And I especially loved him on what the documentary, the What We Left Behind documentary, and some of that was just amazing. Yes.
I agree. So what else do we got? We got Jerry Goldsmith. Let's talk about him for a minute. He worked a lot with Alexander Courage. Actually, he worked a lot with John Williams.
Yep.
He orchestrated for Williams the Boston Pops Orchestra for a while. And he was actually very influenced. His music was very influenced by John Williams. The music of Star Wars, the romantic sweeping.
Yeah.
which is very Star Trek and Star Wars. You know, there's a lot of similarities there. And apparently all of these composers were influenced by Igor Stravinsky, who was a American composer in the early part of the 20th century, and he kind of broke out of the convention of classical music, and he is attributed to a lot of the reason why we have these beautiful scores for space operas.
Right.
He kind of broke out and did his own thing, and specifically for the looking at Gerald Fried's Amok Time,
One of my
very
favorites.
strongly, which is one of the super iconic. I mean, that episode, we have so much awesome stuff coming out of Amok Time. You know, the cool Spock bass anthem music whenever he's doing the mind meld. You can hear all of that. The procession, the fight song that was used again and again and again in Star Trek. Every time there was the fight, you know, it was used in the Simpsons and Futurama and the Cable Guy. I think they even woke up the Discovery Shuttle crew with the fight song back in 2011, which is amazing. There's always been a tie between that, you know, astronauts and Star Trek, and a lot of people have attributed the reason that they wanted to become an astronaut to Star Trek, watching Star Trek. So, but Stravinsky was really, you know, to go back to that, he was really kind of pivotal, I think, in influencing all of these amazing composers that ended up doing a lot of the space opera type,
Right.
Star Wars, Star Trek kind of soundtracks. And Amok Time specifically has been compared to The Rite of Spring, which was like 1913, I think. Very, very similar structure, the feeling of it. If you listen to The Rite of Spring, you will hear some Amok Time
It
going
is.
on in
It's
that,
true.
vice versa.
You definitely get some similarities to that, and I actually listened to it for the first time when you actually sent it to me. So that's it was interesting. I'm like, okay, I see this.
Yeah, and you know, just the episode alone, I've been thinking about the character of Stan.
Yeah, tell me, Sister Spock, how do you feel about Stan?
I mean, I think he was less of an adulterer. He was less than an adulterer, but more than a homewrecker. Stan.
Well,
Right?
It's settled. Then we have to write a song about Stan.
I'll get right on that. I'll get right on. I've actually kind of wanted to do a song about Stan. He's like the forgotten, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he stole Spock's girl. He really
Yeah.
did. I mean, of course, Spock got over it pretty quickly because he's awesome and he's Spock. But here's one for Stan. Homewrecker.
Homewrecker.
Original Star Trek homewrecker.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I guess T'Pring was involved as well.
Yes, I want to
But-
answer the question that's up here. Did the composer Picard bring back the TOS Romulan theme? Absolutely. He
Ooh.
absolutely did.
This question speaks to you.
Yeah, from Balance of Terror was, I think, the first time the Romulan theme was introduced, and it was the.
Can you play a little bit of
yeah. Yes, that was brought back into Picard in a slightly altered way, but yes, they intentionally did that. And there was a documentary, I think, before Picard, before it aired, that they talk about. So that's a pretty cool, definitely a pretty cool thing. So thanks for asking that question, and that was something that's definitely interested me. I'm sorry, I think I interrupted your flow. We were talking a little bit about Amok Time for sure.
Right. Well, I went off on a little bit of a Stan tangent.
Well, let me just talk about, like, the Roddenberries play Amok Time. It's one of our most favorite instrumental pieces. Sometimes it's a we'll play it as just its own 3 or 4 minute instrumental piece, or we'll just stick it in incidentally as an intro here or there. But we're not trying to just recreate it with guitars or make it a rock sounding thing. We add the rock element into it, but we also want to be true to some of the original iconic sounds and themes in Star Trek. So obviously without an orchestra you can't really do that, but I have a whole bunch of keyboards here, and I bring this entire setup to almost every single one of our shows, and I'm able to reproduce a lot of the orchestral sounds and then combine that with the element of a rock band and an amazing percussion section, so we can actually attain most of that feel, that original feel, but still it's still a rock band. And I'll give you an example. On a mock time, I have when I play it, we're using strings. Obviously, there's a lot of strings. There's horns. There's a flute in there, and mixed together, you get that kind of sound. So, as you can see, that mixed with an electric guitar, a bass guitar, percussion, it allows you to get the feel, but also be a rock band about it. So, anyway, that's just
that was an audience favorite for sure.
Yeah, some of the fun stuff.
People like to pretend fight sometimes.
Yes, exactly.
Safely.
But I will say that we do some. We definitely in our Amok Time version, we mix it up. We mix it up with the Klingon. The Klingon. We mix it in with that, and we also add a little bit of the Imperial March from Star Wars. Yes, we do. But anyway, that's some of the fun things that we get to do as the Roddenberries.
Mix it up.
Yeah.
The gentleman that asked, did the composer of Picard bring back the T.O.'s Romulan theme? There's a lot of the composers being musically informed by each other in the realm of Star Trek, even throughout, the nerdosphere and other realms of sci-fi as well. How Jerry Goldsmith was informed by, we're just talking about him. Come on. Williams.
Yes.
John Williams, thank you. There's a lot of that going on. I think, Spocknik, you were talking about the Apollo motif in Who Mourns for Adonai. That was Fred Steiner, was used again in the Discovery theme.
Yes, exactly. At the very intro of Discovery, the part that goes da da ba da ba da ba da. Like, I'm sorry, I did that horribly, but if you listen to the Apollo theme and the original series, and then listen to the intro of Discovery, I believe that was intentionally derived from the original series score.
Absolutely, and I feel like. And as you were saying earlier, that's it's a 55-year arc of this music, in the canon of Star Trek. And I feel like the composers that are, focusing on trying to get a new generation of Star Trek fans into the Star Trek family, they're bringing back some of this iconic sounding, the themes and the music, and incorporating them into the newer themes, because that's the history of Star Trek. So it's the old meeting the new. And it's awesome. I mean, in the Picard theme specifically, too, the Inner Light was one of the iconic pieces of music. So the composer wanted to use the tin whistle to kind of bridge that
right
with the Picard theme.
And speaking of the 55-year arc, one of the challenges we set out for ourselves in the last couple of years was creating a song that kind of summarized the timeline to the best that we could. It's constantly evolving, so it's a very difficult task to undertake. But we've been successful up to this point. We haven't, obviously we have to keep adding to the song. But we have a song called 2265, which sets up, which really goes through every single series, right? And for those of you who know the old song, in the year 2525. It's that song that we're parodying, and Sister Spock wrote some amazing lyrics to get us from the original series all the way to Picard. And I don't think Picard is not in our album version because obviously.
Listen, it's our Inagata Vita. I had to rewrite the end of that song so many times because as we were writing it to get it onto our second album, the recording process and that whole process took us over a year and a half at least, probably. You think about hurting 10 musicians more because we had backup horn section. We had all kinds of crazy traveling out 45 minutes to get to Nicola's studio. It was a lot. But, as we're recording and all these things are happening, okay, they're releasing Discovery. We don't know what it's about. I got to kind of put something in there about Discovery. Oh, wait, now it's Picard. Like, I just kept having to tack it on. And now with all of the new series that are coming out, Section 31, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, I feel like this is our Inagata Vita. It's going to be the never-ending song. We're just going to have to keep adding verse after verse after verse, I think.
I know. And we might actually have to, choose not to sing about some for the sake of time at a show.
Either that or I'll just wrap it all up into one little tiny basket at the very end.
Yeah, right?
We're going to have to do that.
But with 2265, we do on the album, as we get through each series in the song, rather, we have on our album certain sound effects from each of those episodes, things that come out of those episodes. But when we're playing live, I'm handling sound effects for the most part. So when she does the 2265, the 2271 or 2371, I forget. As she's going through the different years, I'm having to be on demand to do certain sound effects. And I can actually give you an example of some of the things just to show you some of the things that we do and how we work, whether it's a recording or then some of the things that I have to do live during a show. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here is an example of 2265. And so you'll see, and again, you may or may not be familiar with this song, but I'll give you a little taste of it.
In the year 2265, we were introduced to Spock and Captain Pine. And with Kirk.
So that's an example of, in our album, we have these sound effects cued at certain places based on the series that we're singing. And when we transition into TNG, here's an example of how we transition into TNG.
In the year 2369.
So, we try to keep the sound effects relevant as we're progressing through the timeline. And, when we get to, I think when we're into Deep Space Nine is pretty fun. Here's some of the sound effects.
Space Nine, species coming out and going in.
What the hell is going on?
To the Gamma Quadrant with
So, anyway, we have a lot of fun with this. My responsibility on a live show is hitting these as soon as she says certain lines, which becomes something that I really have to pay attention to when we're performing live. Anyway, I just thought I'd show you.
Post pictures of your keys at some point with all of the different little notes and
Right.
tiles that help remind you which is what.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff you've had for, this is our 8th year. This is
This
8th
is.
year in our mission as a star band. And so, yeah, that one keyboard that you have with all the sound effects, it's been going forever, since the beginning.
And the funny thing is that one keyboard with the sound effects, like I have a keyboard and I'm pointing to this one right here. And if I change to one of these, I have them on demand as necessary. And that keyboard is actually an old DX7 from the 80s. It was my first keyboard that I ever bought.
Which makes it even more relevant to
and-
be playing the music of TNG,
and
TS9.
just to see how like when we first started this band, for an example of what we did, this keyboard, I don't play melodies with it, and there's actually tape and words written on each key for the name of the sound.
That's what I'm saying. Little notes to keep track.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
haven't changed it since the first show.
Because you didn't need to.
Yeah.
I love
Anyway.
it. Well, this is some of the back behind the scenes stuff that we do for
Yep.
live shows and also recording. So just want to move this on a little bit because I think we have about 15 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something else that we need to touch upon real quickly, and I think that someone, special guest, perhaps, was going to come and help us with the next topic. Do we have a special guest, perhaps?
It is I, Sister Spock. Where am I? I'm over here. It is I, Sister Spock, the Doctor. I am the Doctor, and as the Doctor, I remind you all to mask up for safety so we can all get to the 23rd century and beyond. Ha ha! Tell me, Sister Spock, do the Roddenberries do non-Star Trek music?
Actually, yes.
Would you like a lightsaber?
Doctor Who with a lightsaber. What?
It's just the Doctor. 14 minutes left to save the Earth.
Doctor.
I'll be right back. Or will I?
Yeah.
Back to props.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we might have Doctor Who with a lightsaber at some point. I don't think we're be that confused, but
Well,
yeah.
let me say one thing about yes, we love all it's science fiction, science or fantasy, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Doctor Who, Battlestar Galactica. Some of these scores and some of the music in them is some of my favorite. I listen to that sometimes as often as I do Trek music. In our show, we have it's not just Star Trek music. We end every single show with the Cantina Band theme. I mean, from our first show ever, and even inside of our Cantina Band theme, we break to 30-second chunks of all different pop culture music references. And
It's our onion of the nerdosphere, that song.
It is.
It's so layered.
Yeah, so
I think there's like at least six different sub-songs within
the Cantina
the
Band.
actual Cantina melody. And we keep changing it up depending on whether it's a different holiday show or if we're doing a Star Wars heavy or, we want to bust out and do the nerdosphere. We're doing like an outdoor live festival, which we've done, that incorporates more of, like old comics and old sci-fi movies and, themes from shows in the 60s and 70s, everything from James Bond, Doctor Who, and ESG represented.
Yes, Battlestar.
Battlestar Galactica. We love Battlestar.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mary Brickthrower.
And I want to say one thing about Battlestar. I mean, obviously, I love the iconic original Battlestar Galactica and that theme, but I truly did love the reboot in 2003 when they did the miniseries and then followed up by the 4 seasons. And that music was composed by Bear McCreary, who's got part Armenian descent. I think it is his mother's side or something. And that has definitely influenced that entire series. And that Armenian music and Lebanese music is very similar. And that was one of the reasons I really was drawn to that music. And we have done, and then there was just some of his other versions. He did some like other crazy versions of like All Along the Watchtower, which a completely different approach to it. And it's one of my favorite versions of All Along the Watchtower, and we do that in some of our shows. And
you know what? Can I jump in here? Because this goes back to a question that was asked earlier as far as like the characterization and what we do for our songs. So that song specifically, All Along the Watchtower, we do the Bear McCreary version of that, which is from the Battlestar Galactica, the updated version, the reboot series. That iconic scene where all of the Cylons meet. And so I sing that song, but our dancers are the ones that come out and portray the actual Battlestar feeling to that.
Right.
They come out as Cylons, and some fun Battlestar things happen. But that's thanks to our fabulous dancers.
They are amazing. They are I would say the other side of our show, which is our show is not complete without them, and that's for sure.
Nope, or the media. Those are
Or
the
the
other
media.
members that we just can't go without. It's not a Roddenberry show without all that stuff.
And that's why we are a Star Trek-ified sci-fi rock and roll multimedia cabaret, and that's why it's hard to not explain ourselves that way, because that's what we are.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. So I think we actually have. Okay, we have a minute. I'm going to give you a fun fact right now. Going back to the original series theme, bring it back to the beginning of our conversation. So, as you know, Alexander Courage wrote that theme. Does anybody know who wrote the lyrics? Does anybody know that there are lyrics? Yes, there are, because we showed you in the very beginning that there were lyrics in our video. Anyway, I'm going to tell you, Gene Roddenberry wrote the lyrics, and this is something that I found out. I didn't know this for a long time, but then I started reading about it. And apparently, Alexander Courage didn't know that Gene Roddenberry was writing lyrics to the theme song. And the reason he did that was because if he wrote lyrics, then 50% of any profits that were made off of that would go, they would split the profits. And he was thinking, how the hell else am I going to make money off of this Star Trek thing? Which, I mean, at the time is hilarious. You think, it made sense to him, but you think about just how huge this franchise has got. This is our modern day mythology. This is all these things. Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. They're these huge Harry Potter. They're these big epic stories that are just. It's fantasy and it's beautiful and it's these huge realities that have been created within our realities, to which we can escape.
Yeah. And Kristen is right. Yes, it's to get to, as Beth said. To get
royalties.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, but they ended up. There was a little bit of a riff, I think, between them, and Alexander Courage was upset, and he didn't want to come back, and then he got convinced to come back in and do a couple more episodes for the third season. But I thought that was a really kind of a fun little anecdote, just to see a little behind the scenes stuff that was happening during Star Trek and people getting upset because of things that were going on that they didn't know about. But that's life. That's humanity.
Yeah.
Really.
Humanity is overrated.
Oh, wait. Is this Captain Scotch Whiskey?
Yes.
Is it trivia time?
It is trivia time.
Get out your thinking caps, folks. We got some trivia questions.
May I frame over here?
We have 2 trivia questions that we are going to have.
Yes. May I frame
Scotch
up?
Whiskey.
Sister Spock, may I move
Yes.
in there? I do not wish to cling on your ears too
Yes.
deeply. I am Captain Scotch Whiskey. Don't mention the ship's name. First question. Get ready in the chats, ye Trek fans.
First person to answer correctly will win and eat the Roddenberries CD. And you can send your information to us in our email or our website, which we will give you the information.
Exactly. The Roddenberries at gmail.com. Here we go. Ready. Which instrument did Miles O'Brien play? Second part. Which series did he play it on? You have 3 seconds, Terrence. Has anyone responded? I'm sure someone, Commander, you'll tell me, won't you? Someone will tell me.
Looking at the live comments. All right, so that's the question.
Your eyes are better.
What instrument did Miles O'Brien play, and on what series?
It's a 2-parter.
Yes, Kirsten.
Two-parter.
You're getting close, Kirsten. We'll give you half of the CD. Ha!
Yep.
You are correct.
Yes.
Kirsten, you have won.
Correct.
You.
Next Generation, and he played the cello.
Second question. The best question of all because it involves puppets. Puppets, yo! Now, which Star Trek performer was the director of choreography and puppet movement on such Jim Henson films as The Dark Crystal Labyrinth and The Muppets Take Manhattan? Who's got that one, puppet wizards? I defy you to answer that. I defy you. Yeah, I rented that. Who? Let's see. Commander knows.
Yep.
I know Spock.
Yes.
Yes, TV 19.
Gates McFadden.
Yes. Yes. So either Peter H. or television. Yes, TV 1967 has won Gates McFadden. You have won that. And Peter H. also knows it's Gates McFadden. You know what? Maybe we'll send both. Who knows? Now, Roddenberries, it's our last 5 minutes. I must return to my vessel.
All right, hit it.
And prepare the Klingon blood wine for the post-party. What?
Okay, so who was the first answer? Commander, do you have a determination? Was it Peter H. or was it TV 1967? I saw TV 1967.
It was both very quick.
But Peter H.
I think we should give it to
both.
Okay.
Yes.
Both of you are getting a CD.
Go winners!
Yes.
So to get your prizes, we're going to send you guys an Eat the Roddenberries CD, and you can email us your information at theroddenberries@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, theroddenberries.com, and you can message us through that as well. You can also hit us up on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. But probably to email us would be the quickest way. And just let us know that you won the trivia question and give us your mailing address, and we will send those things out.
Awesome. Ultraman wins.
Ultraman wins. Ultraman for the win. Okay. It looks like we're about finished here, so we're about to wrap things up. Thank you to everyone so much for joining us. Like I said, this was our first panel, and we weren't really sure what was going to happen, but I love the responses that we've been getting, and it's a lot of fun just to talk about Star Trek, because we all love it so much. Every single person that's watching right now, I know you love Star Trek too, and that's why you're here. So keep supporting Star Trek. Keep supporting every new series that comes out, because it's all canon. It's all Star Trek. They're trying to keep it current. They're trying to bring in, just when I was 4 and Billy, we were 4 years old watching Star Trek, and that wonder and that bewilderment and just amazement. That's what they're trying to cultivate in the newer generation. It's a little bit harder too, because technology is very different than when this started, 55 years ago, pretty much almost. So let's keep it going. Keep loving Star Trek. Thank you so much to Ryan T. Husk and Seventh Rule, and everyone that was involved in putting on this wonderful virtual TrekCon 2020. We're very excited to be a part of this, and there's a lot of great panels that are happening through Monday. So check them out. Go to their page at Virtual TrekCon and check everything out, and go check out some of the other panels.
Absolutely. Let me just also say, when we're back into whatever the new normal will be, and when we're actually playing shows, and please make sure you come and see us. Whether it's at a convention or at some gig somewhere, just come let us know that you're there, and we'd always love to talk to various.
Yeah, we do, because we're really Star Trek nerds, and we love to talk to other Star Trek nerds, because you're our people. We are one. We are one.
And we'll try to do more of these now that we kind of know how to do them. They're kind of fun. So hopefully you'll be seeing some more virtual content from us in the near future. Yeah.
So actually, the next panel, the Lambda Quadrant panel, is up next. So check that out. And if you want to stick around for a couple of minutes, we have some videos that we're going to play right now. I think it's a different link to go to the Lambda Quadrant panel. So if you want to check out a couple of our videos, we're going to play that now. Thank you so much to everyone for watching. Thank you, Ryan, for including us. We're so proud and blessed and thankful to be part of the Star Trek family. And hopefully we'll see you guys in Vegas as your house band. If not, we're going to find out together. So live long
and prosper.
And prosper.
Where's my baby? Whoa.
I don't know where she went.
Martok!
Oh my goodness. I know it's tough, sister. I haven't been everything to you, but I hope that someday when we're stateside and all this is over and we're in our chairs together and, well, you know what, never mind. I don't really want to be there. So
You need to do better. You ditched me at Brazil
I did the best.
Pleasure Planet.
You're on your own.
We bought a package together. Damn it! I want my Targ back. Never date a Klingon, man.
You can't do me like that.
You can't do me like that. You want to fight? Wait, that's foreplay. That's how we got into this mess. Oh, damn it. I mean, I'm really going to miss Friday nights when you take me out and we drink blood wine all night and we do the Ferengi merengue for hours and hours. I mean, I was so enamored of you, Martok.
Oh, so
I even went to the same forehead stylist.
I'd like to keep you, baby, but there's just no way we can hang. You know what I'm saying?
All right, you know what? I'm probably over you already, but listen, let's just do our song one more time, for old time's sake.
You got it, honey. You got it.